stage. And Anthony, we'll talk about test and trace in just a moment. I was interested in one thing you said today about the tier system, and you were saying that it prolongs the economic agony. I mean, what did you mean, and what's the alternative?
Well, the Prime Minister is trying to steer a middle path between the people that say just let this run now and those that say, we need to lock down. But the problem is that poor control of the pandemic will not just hit all our health indicators, but it's also going to hit the economy harder, in my view, than a circuit breaker, which is what government advisory group of scientific experts advised nearly 5 weeks ago. Look at the figures. Patrick Vallance said today there are now between 53 and 90,000 cases per day, 6,000 people in hospital blocking other treatments, cases and hospitalizations rising every day, and we've got, deaths beginning to rise and an R value at around 1.4. I'm not sure there's any real convincing evidence that tiers 2 and 3 are going to work. We've got NHS and care workers under great threat, and the NHS is overlooked with, their routine treatment block. But on top of that, we're going to have more unemployment.
Sorry to interrupt, Anthony. Sorry to interrupt, but what's the alternative then if you don't think tier 2 and 3 can work?
Well, I agree with what the SAGE have said, and so does Independent SAGE, which is if you had an immediate circuit breaker, like this weekend, for the next 2 weeks, you would cut cases fourfold. If you did it for 3 weeks, you cut it eightfold, according to my modelling colleagues, and you would get the R value down to around 0.6 or 0.7. Now, that would be fine, and it would enable us to reset everything, get people back into, say, tier 1, and the economy would move again. The only problem then is that you need a protective shield from find, test, trace, and isolate. Yeah. And as you've said, the current figures are very poor. Very few being tested within 24 hours. It's only at about 25%. Contact tracing is very weak, except by local public health teams. And there are ways we could strengthen this during the period of a 2 to 3 week lockdown. And then we would get the economy moving again. There would be more business certainty, and people would know where they stood.
But getting the test and trace system fixed in 2 weeks that's a tall order, I would imagine, a massive system like that. And I mean, the other point is, what if a 2 week lockdown doesn't work? Does a 2 week lockdown become a 3 week, 4 week, 5 week lockdown?
Well, no, I think we should keep it to stabilising the situation and getting the R value down. We would still have a problem, but I'll challenge you. I actually think we could make serious amendments to the find, test, trace system quite quickly. Firstly, I would put the testing system under the control of NHS molecular virology labs. There are 44 of them. They have all the data links and all of the quality control, and they could help run the Lighthouse labs so that they are producing their results efficiently, good quality, and quickly. We need to reinvest in local public health for the tracing system, which would be much more effective. You could keep central call tracers to focus on people who are contacts and who would then isolate. You need to remind them every day. You need to phone them every day. And the government could also increase their financial support. That, when you're saying we're giving you £500 for 2 weeks, that's nearly half of minimum wage, or only just above. Yeah. We really have to support people financially and get this figure up from 18%. We need to get it up to over 80%. Okay. Now, we could do that with a national effort and get this pandemic under control, and then we could have a clear economy through to Christmas. We might need one more circuit breaker in February, March, but we would at least have a more open economy, and we would not be doing the damage we're doing right now.
Okay, and the other thing you said on Twitter today was you suspected Chris Whitty, Chief Medical Officer, and Sir Patrick Vallance disagree with government policy. Now, we saw the news conference tonight, Downing Street, Patrick Vallance standing there alongside the the Prime Minister. What part of the policy do they disagree with, do you think?
Well, I think they're sceptical, probably, that they came from Sage. They would have agreed with the idea of a circuit breaker, and the earlier that we had done that, it would have been more effective. Chris Whitty said last week that he didn't think that Tier 3 baseline measures would be enough, that we would need to do more. And Patrick Vallance, I thought, was, diplomatic. They have to work with the government, and they're government employees. But I suspect they think that eventually we will need a lockdown. But I don't know that. I mean,
Okay.
One can say.
Okay, good to talk to you. Anthony Costello, thanks very much. This